Hey everybody, it is Friday, the 1st of August. Can't believe it. 1st of August is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm here at home in Laos, and finally somewhat of a quiet day. A lot has happened in the last couple days since I last did a video. All these videos are going to be merged anyway, but it should... But a lot has happened here. I love when the breeze. I'm outside right now. I love when the breeze is on because it's much cooler. It's been a very overcast day here. Yesterday was super strong sun. For the last 2 days, actually, not much rain, but the sun when you go out, it's scorching. It is. I think it's much more brutal than in Bangkok, and I'm not sure why. It's more north, where Vientiane is more north of Bangkok. Not sure why, but it's been an overcast day today, and we've got a little bit of breeze going. You'll hear my little sound machines there when the wind goes. The little shells that my wife and I picked up from Hua Hin, I think, many years ago, and then little noisemaker. I love it. It's very soothing. So you might hear that in the background. Hopefully it won't be too loud. But yeah, a lot going on the last 3 days since I last did a video. I finally started the book of Esther. Finished Nehemiah. I won't try to rehash anything. But Esther, it's a short book, and it's very powerful, though. It's one of the ladies in the book, women in the Bible, who were very powerful and very pivotal for the Jewish population. I mean, I'm in chapter 3 and 4 right now, where there's a Haman tries to convince, he deceives the king. Well, the king marries Esther. I won't go into the story why, and who is Jewish, but one of the Haman is a servant of the king. I can't remember his name. Manipulates the king to say he's going to do him some service because he says there's a group of people out there who aren't worshiping the king, and so the king stupidly lets him blindly signs a decree for him to go out and destroy these people, and the people end up happening to be the Jews. So it was probably one of the most outwardly attempts at Jewish extermination in the Bible, like as a whole group. There's a lot of fighting between groups, but maybe there's another one, but this is the first one that stands out to me. I'm not a scholar. I'm not trying to be. I'm just trying to make sense of some of the stories. But Esther was the king's wife, and she got there by honor. She became his wife by honor. She happens to be Jewish, so she heard about this plan and deception to destroy the Jewish people, and I think she ends up being pivotal in saving the Jewish people. So I hope my angle is right here. This is the first time I'm using this in a while. This little tripod. So she's one of the great names in the Bible, and the whole book is named after her. I'm also reading Romans. I'm in Romans, second Romans. It's a lot more difficult. I remember it's one of those books I kind of tended to skim through or avoid because it's a little complicated. Paul gets he can sound very legalistic in it, and because he's comparing the law to grace, and I think it's just, since I'm reading the Bible for the first time in probably a decade, it's going to take me some time to get through it, but very happy to be starting some new books there. So we've had this is a difficult day. My wife's uncle passed yesterday. We were actually on our way to see them. It's my wife's mother's brother. She's the last survivor of the family now. She asked me to go with them to go see him. I never met any of them. I only know her brothers and her parents. But so we went to see them last night, and they said he's dying. And her mother actually came a couple days before we did, so she could go stay with her brother because they knew he was dying. He had some type of stomach cancer. They don't really give me a specific diagnosis. I'm not sure if they know, but they just call it cancer. Something in the stomach. So he was only 67, 68 years old. So her mother came last week, a couple days before we got here, to stay with him, and then she's been staying with us since we've been here on Friday. And her Da's younger brother actually came up also a couple days ago to stay with him, to see him, and they came last night. We decided to go see them all together. Di asked me to go over, and on our way there, we got stuck in horrible traffic. The traffic here in Vientiane is pretty bad right now, but I'll go into that later. So we got stuck in traffic, and on the way there, they called to say he passed. And so, I'm driving her, Da and her mother and their brother in the car, and it was solemn. It was awkward sitting in traffic. They can't really mourn. And as soon as we got there, the road into the house is something I've rarely ever seen before. It's almost even the brother missed the turn. I'm driving and he's telling me where to turn. He even missed it because it's just so small. I mean, it's a speck in the street. It's a speck in the along the road. If you miss it, you're done, because you've got vendors on both sides of this little hole opening of a road. It's one of the smallest roads I've ever seen. I don't know why they did that. But we had to turn around to come back, and then he almost missed it again. But it's just little thing, you could barely turn into it, and it's got this walls on both sides of the road, dirt road, probably 12 to 15 feet tall. I don't know why. And it's probably 50 feet long. And I'm driving in the car. I'm driving a truck. I mean, there's no buffer on either side of the truck to get through this small road. Maybe tomorrow when I go, I'll take video of it. But there's no buffer. I don't understand why they would allow something like that. And then when we get in the back, it opens up. I mean, they've got a lot of crap in the yard and garbage, and I mean, there's no aesthetics of a yard is not much of a value here. I try to say these things neutrally without putting emphasis or trying to sound derogatory or negative, but it's just the fact that they don't really take care of yards here. The majority of the people, they just throw stuff. It's like a storage. The yard is a storage. For me, I want to keep my compound looking nice. It's not a value here. And all my neighbors, if you look around, all my neighbors, junk, just junk. They don't throw anything out. Things are overgrown. There's no grass. It's extremely different from the Western value of having a beautiful compound. Not here. I mean, yeah, you will have some exceptions, and it's becoming more and more of an item of a value. But for majority of the people here, they don't care what it looks like. It's a storage, and a lot of times it's just like junk. So this is the differences to me. And I try to keep my compound. I try to keep a little bit of a heaven. This place is nice looking as I can here. Anyway, back to the death. See, rabbit trails. I go down rabbit holes. So the uncle passed, and we got there, and the mother was just losing it, and it was hard. It was really hard to sit there. They have a blanket over him. He's on his bed in the middle of the room. So I guess this is probably where he's been living. He's been laying in a bed for the past year, and the family takes care of it. Long-term care is taken by the family. Like in the U.S., my dad was in long-term care for 2+ years, full care. But he had to be in something. My mom couldn't take care of him, and there's no siblings around who would have the time or the ability to do that. I mean, it's a full-time job. But here, that's what families do. And here, that's what if I ever end up in a situation like that, I am expecting that her family will take care of me. There was no long-term care here, and I'm not going to pay for it because it might happen, but I'm not expecting it to. I'm sure most people don't expect something like that to be needed, but anyway, he's laying there in the middle of the room. Obviously, that's been where he's been for the past year. I don't know how much he's walked around before that, but I guess he was dying very rapidly within the past month. And so they just had a blanket over him, and people were surrounding him. Like some people removing the cover from his face so they could touch his face, and then they put the cover back, and then they Da's mother. It was very intimate. Da wanted me to see this. She's like, "This is my culture." I asked her later, is that something? Why was that so important for her? She says, "I want you to understand my culture." And I've seen this before. I've been around, but this is a family, and it was very sad, because it's still very fresh for my own parents. My parents passed less than 2 years ago. And my dad was in a similar situation, but again, he died in a hospice. My mother died from a car crash by a drunk driver, so she was taken very suddenly. So just watching the people mourn, it was extremely, very hard to watch. I was tearful. I never met the guy, but it's more for the people that, the pain of the people that's left behind. You miss those people. So it was an interesting process to watch, and they started buying food to bring for people to nibble on while we were sitting there. It wasn't many people there. It just happened. I think they were planning. They were buying stocks of water and things, so it looks like they're preparing for people to come through and pay their condolences at the house. So what we were waiting for most of the time was a truck was coming. I thought they were going to take the body away and then prepare him for cremation. So he will be cremated. That's what they do him. That's what they do in Buddhism. So I thought he would be taken away to be cremated, and he wasn't. They simply brought a casket and they placed it next to him. And then they moved the body, they put it into the casket, and then they covered, then they embalmed him right there in the living room. So they put an IV solution up, two young men, probably in their early 20s. They set an IV up, and they dripped into his body, and I asked what they were doing, and without using the word, they were embalming him. She says they're preparing him so he doesn't smell. So they're flushing a chemical through his body so that he can. So they flushed that through. That took about an hour, and then they covered him in plastic, they covered him in like salt or Epsom salt, some preservative. They just poured it all over his body. While he was laying in the casket. And this is a very cheap casket. I could tell the way they were moving it. Very cheap. Like very thin thin wood, like a plywood or something. So then they covered him, and then they wrapped him and taped him in plastic. He died from a cancer, so they really taped that up. And then they covered the casket with the lid, and then they taped that up with masking tape. So that was wrapping tape, the thick wrapping tape, not even duct tape. But this box is going to be burned, so there's no point in doing anything more than that. But they seal it as best as they can, just so there's no smell. Because he's going to sit, he'll stay in that room, in the main part of the living room of the house for the next 3 days. So yesterday, today, and tomorrow, for people to come and mourn and pay their condolences, and then they will. Tomorrow we will. She went there to stay with her mother. She went. Da went back today. I had to work today, and I ran out for something. But yeah, so tomorrow will be the cremation. I didn't take any video of that yesterday. Nobody else took video. I would not ever have taken of the body, but I just would have taken something of the. I was interested to take something of the distance, little distance away, just to get an idea of what they were doing. But because I have seen people post that stuff on YouTube, it's very interesting. I'm surprised that I've seen a lot of people post pictures of their deceased parents or siblings or family members on Facebook, like the face and the body dead, lying there. It's really kind of grim, and they don't do it as anything to be disrespectful. I guess in the U.S. we wouldn't do that. I would not want a picture of my deceased mother, embalmed mother, I won't ever want that. I'm not even sure if the only pictures we have of us carrying the casket, but yeah, they do that here. So I was surprised though nobody was taking actual video from what I saw. They might later. But so tomorrow we'll go for the cremation, and I don't know if I'll take video of that or not. I'll see what the vibe is there, but I've seen videos. Daz sent me videos of cremations, so they do it. It's a little morbid, but I might do it. I don't know. We'll see. So the cost of this, so Daz said the cost of the embalming and everything, getting the body ready, was about 40 million keep. So that's about $2,000. I was really surprised at that. But they're paying for the people, the embalming, the transportation, and then that probably includes the actual burning at the temple. But of course, I am obliged to help pay for it. She asked me yesterday to contribute to this, and this is one of the things I'm going to have to suck up. I know I'm just going to have to suck it up and not be upset about it. When my parents passed, I didn't pay for anything, and my mom had everything ready. The casket was picked, everything was paid for. That was the first thing my parents did. In the first year within the first year or two they were married, before they even owned a house, they bought cemetery lots for them and 2 children. That's what they did back then. That's crazy when we look back on the records. I think they paid like $2,000 or $3,000 for the lots. But that's what you did in that generation. You prepared your death even right when you got married, even before if you could even have a house. My parents rented for years before they had enough to buy a very tiny half of a house in a very small town next to the railroad tracks. So the difference here, and now here they just pay it as it comes. There's no preparation for it as far as I know. So the people that pass don't have any money there for it. It's left for the family to fend. And so everybody's expected to chip in. So she asked me for money. I knew it was coming, and I still get irked about it. Why am I paying for this stuff? I know everyone's supposed to be chipping in. You don't know how much, but it's just expected that I'm going to be chipping in more because I very likely make more, and they're going to expect more, even though I don't know the people. It's one of those cultural things you will have to do most chances, unless you're marrying into a wealthy family. You're going to have to accept it, and I just need to accept it, and I just need to know where the limits are, my limits, because I'll ask her, how much do I need to give? She goes, well, it's up to you. I'm like, well, if it was up to me, it'd be a lot less than what we are giving. So I have to ask her, what should I be giving? And then we'll try to negotiate that. I don't want to be cheap, but I'm not going to pay for everybody. There's going to be deaths and marriages in the family, like every year. I'm not going to be paying for that, and it's just, I need to set a limit, and I'm not going to have a job in 5 months. So I don't have an income, so I'm not going to be able to do that. So I just need to prepare that I will have to contribute something. It will probably be even more, when it's Da's parents, because they don't have anything. And I'll likely have to pay more there. So I'm not sure what that more is, but it's hard to accept, but I just have to accept it. I have to be okay with it, and then just say, this comes out of our budget. And I said, when it's done, it's done. When the money's finished, we're finished. I only make so much, and this is what we're going to need to live on. So I'm going down a little more, but just so this is raw. This is raw emotions. This is me in transition to retirement. I'm not going to have an income in 5 months. I do pray for God to take care of us, and I trust He will. But it's still these things that need. I don't have much of the reference point for it. I am aware of it, but I don't have the much personal reference point to know how to navigate it. And I'll have to check in, keep in touch with some of my closest Lao friends to ask them to give me some ideas. So that's that. The other thing that just recently happened that kind of along that lines was the sister just came and said her phone's not working anymore. And I'm like, and your point is? I know what her point is. And for like 5 minutes, she's trying to show me how it doesn't work, and I'm like, yeah, clearly it doesn't work anymore. I have bought her probably 3 phones in the last 8 years. I don't know how stuff lasts me forever. I mean, stuff lasts me forever, and I buy new stuff for them, and it's like broken in two years. I swear, I think it's 3 phones for her since I bought. And for the 2 of the kids, I think it's at least 1 each. At least 1 or 2 each. I don't understand what they do with them. How does my stuff last? My phone right now is 5 years old. Or 3 or 4 years old. How is this lasting? It's an iPhone. I mean, we're not buying them cheap ones. It's several $100s. I'm certainly not buying them. It's about mid-range, I'd say between $400 and $500 phones, but I just don't understand why. I just don't get it. But the point is, coming to me, like, I'm supposed to be taking care of this. Okay. So I don't understand why I'm supposed to, like, it's expected I'm supposed to take care of it. I'm like, you have a boyfriend. You have, a father of your child. How is that my problem? How am I responsible for that? I'm not going to keep paying for these things that the family needs. especially discretionary like that. I'm like, you're gonna have to find another way. You're living here for free. I'm paying you on top of that a good salary that you won't get outside. You're gonna have to manage. I'm not taking care of this all the time. And you have a boyfriend that he's supposed to be taking care of you now, because that's how they look at you now here. The boyfriend is supposed to take care. It's old-fashioned. I accept that. I take care of my wife. I take care of the stuff that she needs. She gets what she needs. But I'm not responsible for the sister, the brother, and the nieces and the nephews. Sorry, that ain't cutting it. And there's got to be a line drawn. The problem is we do rely on her very heavily for these things to help with the house and communication. But if you need a phone, you need to get a phone. You got to take care of yourself. So I'll have to talk to Da about that. I think she's just to say, we talked about this before, and I'm like, I'm not their supplier of phones when they need them. So they need to manage. I mean, I'm already carrying the load of 3 people living here. So the thing is, I don't want to get on bad terms with them over small things. I guess that's one way to look at it. Maybe I take care of the small things and avoid because that will also take care of the bigger issues. Because we do need her to take care of everything here, and they do that, and I might just need to accept that. I'm not sure where to draw the line there, or what parameters. So I've got an audience now, although I should be okay with what I'm saying. Hey everybody, I just wanted to say I'm going to cut this video in half. I'm going to make it in 2 parts because in length it's 50 minutes long, way too long. So I'm going to cut it in half. This is the end of part 1 of this particular talk, and then I will open up with a new chronicle in a second part.